Yeah, good evening, viewers. Once again, this is Daniel Aguero, standing for Mediterranean Survivor for African Migrants. Every day, we keep on making campaign how African will be good. We keep on going hook and corner, making researches how we can make Africa great again. But the problem we are having now is these political elites. Every day, we talk about them. We are looking for at least 2 or 3 people who is going to be like this woman, which I'm going to put on my page, Dr. Ngozi Iweala. I would like you to watch the video and listen to what she has said about the country she came from, which is in African continent. And this woman has been trying her possible best to see that African continent are going to be good or something like that for the next generation. But there are some bad eggs, people, politicians, corrupt politicians who want to pollute the whole system. And when they are doing this, they forgot that the next generation are growing up and things are changing all over the world, even the Western world. These politicians who are here in the Western world, they make a provision, and when they commit something that is not good, they resign or something like that. But because this woman have told the country the truth about how people are suffering, embezzling money in the name of making oil, this or that, our mineral resources or something like that. That is the only crime this woman has committed, for them to kidnap her 82-year-old woman. And every day we keep on praying. You go to churches, hey, African continent, pastor will say, pray for African continent, pray for Nigeria, pray for Senegal, pray for this. They go to mosque and pray for this, And at the end of the day, they will the same thing that is keep on happening, recycling year in, year out. Now, this is why we, the Mediterranean Survivor for African Migrants, are working day by day to see that if we can make a research and change the mindset of the youth or something like that, that whoever goes go to any powerful position should try to change the mindset of the people who are under him or her or something like that. African continent will not change until people start changing their mindset to improve their lives and to do things transparent or something like that. No, for instance, we talk about millions of. Do you know the richest country in the world? It's from African continent, Congo Zaire. But today they are still crying because of the poor political settings or something like that. If Africans can come together and change, our mindset, know that God has blessed us by depositing all this kind of mineral resources for our generation to change or something like that. And there's something I wanted people to know, that Europe, rushing to Europe through illegal means, through other means, thinking that they are going to pick money in the streets, it's not possible. If we don't work hard and make sure that Africa become good, this is how we will keep on running like hectare from one country to another, looking for a better greener pasture, and which thousands of people are dying in Mediterranean Sea every day. So why can't we, the youths, why can't we, the young Africans, start making campaign to change people's this? And this woman, I wish that we have such a woman, at least 5 in Africa, who can, bring reforms so that African will change. Not tomorrow you put another, they say, when you are a campaigner, when you are fighting for, say you are fighting for other people, you are making charity, you come from, you say you are, what did they call it? You are an activist. You are fighting for this, but when you get to that position, you will change, because you have the same mentality like other corrupt leaders. Why you are becoming an activist is because you want to get a position, and when I can remember what happened to former Labour chairman who always fight for the rights of civil servants. When he become a governor, when he become a chairman of APC, at the end of the day, he started, using people, making other things. Then ask your question. This is the man who goes to, who organized protests in the streets, and at the end of the day, he's fighting for poor masses. But when he gets to that place, he changed his mindset. This is what we, the survivors for African migrants worldwide, are fighting for. Please keep on watching our videos, keep on subscribing, keep on sharing, so that it will get to the grassroots, because we are fighting against child abuse, xenophobia, domestic violence, and racial discrimination all over the world. So we, the sons and the daughters of African migrants, we have been a lot. And some of the people who come from other continents, who are not in the industrialized world, are going through the same process too. So we have to team up and fight to make the whole world a better place. Once again, this is Daniel Agere. God bless you. Bye-bye.
On the continent to support good public policy. Please put your minds to this problem. It's alive today. My second example has to do with a very specific one in my country, the cleanup of the fuel subsidy regime in 2012 during my second stint as finance minister. Nigeria has a fiscally challenging fuel subsidy regime. The country exports crude oil and imports most of its refined needs because its refineries are in very bad shape, and provides a subsidy for the sales of refined oil at the pump. At the end of 2011, a total of 1.73 trillion naira, US $11 billion equivalent, was submitted as claims for subsidies by 143 marketers who were importing the product. These numbers seemed horrendously large compared to what I had last seen when I was in government in 2006, which was closer to $2 billion in subsidy. So we decided to audit these claims. We audited about $8.4 billion worth of claims, and we found $2.5 billion worth of fraud in these claims, i.e., many of these marketers were trying to claim $2.5 billion fraudulently. With the full backing of the president and the economic team, we decided that we were not going to entertain these claims or to pay. The pressure from the affected marketers was tremendous, as we tried not only to say we would not pay, but also we would clean up the whole mechanism for the subsidy claims and put in place something more transparent, something clearer. This did not go down well with them. When we stuck to our position of non-payment and implementation of the new verification regime, these strong and well-connected vested interests were angered and seemed to blame me personally for this. There were personal consequences. My 83-year-old mother, a retired professor of sociology, was kidnapped by 4 young men and held for 5 days. Keeping her wits about her as she was totally terrified, she asked them why she had been kidnapped. And they told her, quote, because your daughter, the finance minister, refused to pay oil marketers their dues. The kidnappers, negotiating with my brother, demanded my resignation publicly. I should go on television publicly and announce my resignation and depart from the country as a condition for my mother's release. Needless to say, these were some of the worst days of my life. Imagine, when you are in position, you want your parents, all of whom are here with you today, and your relatives, to be proud of you. You want to be a source of good for your family. You can imagine how I felt sitting there and thinking, just because of trying to do something right, to implement a good bit of policy that was good for the country, this could lead to the taking of my mother's life. These were some of the worst days of my life. With my father's support, the firm resolve of the president, we all decided I should not give in to the blackmailers and I refuse to resign. Following a manhunt, I'm sorry, I still feel emotional when I talk about it. And this story is not really publicly known, so this is probably the first time I'm giving the full details. Following a manhunt for my mother by police and security agencies, she was able to make a dramatic escape after 5 days in captivity, where she had only been given water and half of a sausage roll. So here was a well-justified cleanup and reform of a policy, but implemented in a dangerous reform environment where the losers in the reform, well-entrenched vested interests, decided to fight back to derail implementation. The decision not to resign was a very difficult and risky one. As it turned out, it worked. But there are days I ask myself, on my down days, what if it hadn't? What if they had gone ahead and murdered my mother, as she overheard them planning to do, with one of